get this little thing on the lens. I don't really think it makes much of a difference. I still look just as bad as I did a couple of minutes ago. What's up, everybody? I wanted to talk about pulling the trigger. It is day 6, Monday of the Days of Authenticity, the 20 Days of Authenticity. I wanted to thank quite a few of you have actually reached out either through the comments section or on DMs, and I appreciate the love. I appreciate I appreciate your appreciation. It's been good so far. It's been good for me, but I'm glad that it's been good for you guys. So I wanted to talk about something that kind of plagues the not just the creative industry, but that's the way that I'm going to put it into here, is never firing and like aiming down the gun and like aim, shoot. Like you might not actually shoot. It's something that you might have heard before that phrase, but just like not pulling the trigger. And it's something that overthinking, people have a tendency to overthink. I'm one of them, to the point where nothing gets done. The 20 Days of Authenticity is part of that. It's just very light editing. I have a tendency myself that if I'm going to make a video, I'll end up making it so that I over edit it. And with the idea of I'm going to keep in a lot of the pauses. I have been keeping in a lot of the pauses. I have been keeping in a lot of the stuff that I would normally try to get rid of because, YouTube, you gotta keep people's attention. And I know that that's not the same for everybody, because there's quite a few people that I follow that I like. I like them because they're a little lower key. Thomas Heaton is one of them that I've mentioned in the past, and I really like that he's not just like bing, bang, bing, 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 and it's different strokes for different folks. So I hear you, 3D Errorist, you made a couple comments on that, and that's I appreciate that, because it's one of those things where and I can give my professional advice to somebody else, but it's harder taking your own advice. Like I know the right move to make is to be yourself, and to just express yourself how you are. And it's harder to do than you'd think, even if you know historically that you've made progress doing that. Anyway, it's easy to lose sight. So the idea of that is, I know myself, and I know that I like to over edit if I enter that phase of things. So with the idea of these is that it's very limited editing, and I'm trying to see it through the eyes of like, if you're hanging out in the same room with me, like you and I were just hanging out and just chatting and talking, there really wouldn't be any editing. I can't edit myself out, but it's just a normal conversation that goes through, right? Like even having a cup of coffee. You don't need to see that, but it's part of the conversation, right? It's that tempo. It's the natural progression of conversation. So the idea is kind of pulling the trigger. Now, 20 Days of Authenticity is part of that for me. It's just like, let's get it out, because there's lots of times. If you look at my channel, I think it was like 2018 where I started posting. And then I've been sporadic. I'll usually go through these bouts of like, I have something to say. Like with my drone part 107 stuff, that's where my channel really took off. And it wasn't intended to be I wasn't intending to say, oh yeah, I'm a drone guy now. And I don't want to be just a drone guy, because I'm not just a drone guy. Drones are part of what I do. But they took off. They did great, or they're doing great, and I'm glad that people are getting use out of them. So I did a series of the Part 107 study guide, and then I did METARs and TAFs and airspace classifications and some of the other technical stuff. And then I'm pretty quiet for a while, and then I'll have something else that I want to talk about, because I see some people asking questions on Reddit. So it's like, okay, well, I'll do a manual photography bunch of stuff. But there's more than just the photography or the drones. And anyway, so the other thing is, even when I do want to talk about other things, like the writing, for example, or there was a time where I was doing mini painting for a little bit, and I still want to get back into that, but it's not pulling the trigger, because I know that I will I end up saying, oh, it's got to look a certain way. The thumbnail, oh man, I got to do a thumbnail and whatever. And these 20 days of authenticity, the last 5 that I did, all I've done is just take a screenshot from here and then just throw a little word on it. And I actually like the way it looks. And I don't even pull it into Photoshop. That's one of the things that I normally will do, because I know all the cool stuff that I could do with it. But then that ends up limiting me, because I start to go down a rabbit hole and oh, what if I change this, or what if I do that? So I've been looking at these as a really good exercise too, of if a client pays me, or if a client says, hey, I need you to make a campaign or videos or photos or whatever, and I need them within this time, or their budget only gives me 2 hours to do a project, I can volunteer my time. I can volunteer to some degree. I can volunteer my time, but if I go past the 2 hours, then I'm losing out. And that's what I'm trying to do, is do this stuff, the 20 days of authenticity, within 2 hours. So the recording time, and then the editing time, and upload, and the whole thing. So it's been really good for me. And so that's actually, sorry, the sun keeps, can you guys see up there? It's kind of beautiful, but the clouds are moving fast. I could put this on auto ISO, but I actually kind of like the look of changing it, and sometimes it goes way too high. This has been a good exercise for me, because when you do things for yourself, even if it's for your own business, I have a tendency to kind of overdo the task for the time that I should give it. So it's like, I care about this stuff, and it's like, oh, I know that I can do better. I know that I could make this, 100%. But then it gets done haphazardly, in that it goes out not as often, or in this case, I've been able to very easily, at least I felt that it was very easy to knock out 5 videos last week. It didn't really take an awful lot of effort. I doubled up on one day, because one day was Thanksgiving, and that's because I set my boundaries for myself. One of my friends told me a phrase calling throwing your hat over the fence. And the short story of this, and I think I wrote about this in that book that I mentioned Thursday or Friday. I don't know if it was him. I don't think it was him, but he was telling me the story. But the idea of the story is, walking home from school, and there's a long way to get around to home, and it takes 2 hours. It takes an hour, right? Or you could cut through his neighbor's yard, and it would take him 15 minutes. And so the way that he would go about doing it is he'd take his hat, throw it over the fence, and now he's committed. He has to go get his hat. And so he takes his hat, throw it over the fence, and now he's committed. He's jumped in, and he goes do it, and now he's home in 15 minutes. So it's some version of that. Pretty much all the best things that I've done in my life have been not thinking about it. It's like, hey, I like that idea, let's go for it. I can overanalyze and overdo it, and not get it done to the degree that I want. It might be a magnificent piece of art, but how many people are actually going to see it? And did it need to take 40 hours. It could have taken 2. Like in this example for what I'm doing with these 20 days of authenticity, I haven't even thought too much about what it is I want to say. I have a bullet point list. Maybe I'm like, oh yeah, this is the idea that I want to talk about on Monday, and then just kind of freeball it, like just stream of consciousness, To add to this conversation, one of the things that I've been looking into doing for a while is Patreon. And one of the things I really like now is that they have a free tier, because I don't think that I'm at a level right now where I want to be like, I don't know, like I'm not a celebrity. I don't feel like I have any big like tangible thing to like sell to people or whatever. So I like the idea of what Patreon has done recently is they've I think that it's gone from like followership to like a free tier. I don't know exactly all the details, but they've done a lot of work on the back end to kind of rebrand things and make things a little more seamless for people. So by the time you watch this, I'm going to have made my Patreon live. I'm figuring it out. So I'm not looking to make it anything crazy. It's just learning the platform, learning where I want to post certain things, because I've been playing around with like Instagram's good, but it really rewards Reels, and Reels are good. I like doing Reels, but I don't want to feel like I have to do Reels. So I have posted some photos, but then again, you have to do it like all vertically, and most of the photos that I take are not vertical. I want to take the photos the way that I want to take the photos and not think about, oh, this has to go vertical if I want to share it. And I feel like that's kind of the truest art form, is like, what does this shot require? Is it something vertical? Could it work both ways? And how can I take this from myself? I like to do photography for the art form of it, and I feel like when I take something and I want to share it, being locked into the vertical or horizontal kind of turns it into my job, because my job is all about what's the deliverable, what are we trying to convey? Oh, we're doing like construction or an event or something, and where are we going to post to Instagram? Okay, well, let's make sure that we get vertical shots, and it's kind of the practical purposes of it. And from my own work, I just want to do the art that I want to do and not be influenced by, oh, it should be vertical or it should be horizontal. And from what I understand, Patreon, you can do whatever the heck you want. And I like the idea of having the conversation in the community there. And I like the idea that they have a free tier. I love that. So I'm going to launch that today. So that's me throwing my hat over the fence. And if you'd like to join, cool. Join up on the free tier and let's figure out the Patreon thing together. Maybe you know all about it. I don't know. I've followed a couple people. Actually, I was on Patreon. This guy that I showed the other day, he was a 3D print. If I can find it, I will link it in the description to the guy's Patreon. He has these little pumpkins, I think he created. It's really cool. I got 3 of them. I think actually there are 3. So there was that guy that was like screaming. There's this guy that his arm's broken, but I think his other hand was like this. And this was my fault because I made them really too small. I should have made them bigger, just based off of my printer. And I also did not put the little base on the part, like that little round thing. I didn't put the base on because I actually liked the look of it without the base. And then there's this guy here that has the, come on, let's go. There you go. Look at that. No, stop looking at my face. This guy's even better. Okay, so anyway, so the 3D printing. Like I said, if I can find it, I'll link it in the description. But he was pretty much one of the only people that I followed on Patreon. And I liked it. I really liked it. So, Yeah, good things happen when you just jump in. I mean, don't jump in necessarily head first into water that's only 6 inches tall. So there's a balance between planning and whatever. But a lot of times over planning and overthinking can really ruin what it is you're trying to do. So that's it. I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Until next time, be good to each other.